What's up, Psychedelic Investors? My name's James, and you're watching The Psychedelic Investor, your number one news source for psychedelic stocks. In today's episode, we bring you the fifth ever This Week in Psychedelic Stocks. As always, first we're going to look at some industry-wide updates before delving into some company-specific news. But first, I just want to share a quick update with you guys. In about a week or so, I'll be releasing an interview with the CEO of Entheon Biomedical Corp, Timothy Ko. I'm really excited to do this interview, and I hope you guys all like it. If you have any questions that you think I should ask him, please let me know down in the comment section. Awesome, and if you enjoy this video, invest in the channel with your like and subscribe. Over time, you'll see your investment grow as we continue to bring you the information that you need to know before investing in the psychedelic medicines field. Enjoy the episode. Our first story today is looking at whether or not OCD can be treated with psilocybin. And just as a quick note, OCD is, of course, obsessive-compulsive disorder. And the reason we're going to be talking about this today is that 3 studies are currently undergoing to test this very issue. Now, before we get into the studies that are currently running, it's important to note that there was already one study that was actually done in 2006 looking at this very thing. And frankly, there were fantastic results in this study, so I'm just going to quickly go over the highlights of this 2006 study. So 9 patients were administered psilocybin up to 4 times each, and the doses ranged from very low to frankly hallucinogenic. And just as a quick time out here, I love how the technical term for the highest dose was frankly hallucinogenic. I don't know, I just find that hilarious. But anyhow, getting back into it. So not only did all 9 patients show immediate improvement in OCD symptoms following at least one of the testing sessions, but the drug was also proven safe and well tolerated. So piggybacking off of this great research which was done in 2006, there are now 3 studies which are currently. The first is being run by a man named Francisco Moreno, who was actually the lead researcher in the 2006 study that we talked about. So this time, instead of 9, there's going to be 15 patients, and a range of doses are going to be used, from low to high. And results are going to be measured using both brain scans and questionnaires up until 6 months after the last dose. So this study should be completed by the end of 2021, and the key here is going to be the ability to repeat the results that were found in 2006. So basically, they just want to see that when they do this a second time, a decade and a half later, we get the same results that we got before. The second trial is taking place at Yale University and has 30 patients. So this study is actually more interested in just high doses. In fact, for each of the 30 patients, they're each going to receive just 1 high dose of psilocybin, and then again, the researchers are going to collect data both on brain scans and questionnaires. And this trial is scheduled to end in 2022. So one key similarity between both of these studies is that neither one of them includes any form of talk therapy, as the authors want, and quote here, any beneficial effect will be directly attributable to the pharmacology of the drug and the changes it causes in the brain, the psychedelic experience it precipitates, or some combination of the two. So this is not the case, actually, for the third trial, and this third trial is being done by a man named Dr. David Nutt, at the Imperial College of London. So if David Nutt's name sounds a little bit familiar to you guys, that would be because we actually covered him a couple weeks ago on this show. Specifically, he had a study at the Imperial College of London, which he said shows that the effects of microdosing psychedelics are only due to the placebo effect and nothing more. So I had my own gripes with that study, but we still covered it. He's an important person in the world, and now he is doing this study looking at the effects of treating OCD with psilocybin. And Nutt's study is going to be a little bit different because they're only going to use moderate doses of psilocybin, just a little bit, and not enough to cause any sort of hallucinogenic effect. And then after this, they're going to have a talk therapy session, which will take place after the effects of the psilocybin has worn off. So in other words, they're going to have an integration session. So this is really cool, specifically that we have a variety of different studies that are using high doses, low doses, mixing doses. Some are going to have therapy sessions, some are not going to have therapy sessions. And the reason that I really like this is because if we can treat OCD with psilocybin, which we don't even know if we can do yet, we're still testing that, but if we can, we're going to need to understand which type of regime works best. Do we want to do low doses, high doses? And the only way we can decide that is by testing all of them. So the fact that we have 3 different studies looking at different ways to treat OCD with psilocybin is very exciting. And again, I have zero idea if these trials are going to come back positive or not. But as I talk about so often on this show, it is very exciting that we're seeing so many different clinical trials taking place, looking at different compounds, looking at different maladies. And for us psychedelic investors, we should be very bullish about the overall testing environment. Again, every week we're getting more and more clinical trials, so this is very cool. Moving on, our next story today is a market size prediction for 2027 for psychedelic medicines. And this report was done for a group called Energy and Capital by a man called Jeff Siegel. And again, we've actually covered Jeff Siegel on the podcast before, so another familiar name. And in this report that he did, he estimates the total global market for psychedelic medicines in 2027. And just as a brief warning, he is extremely bullish, like insanely bullish. He makes me look like a bear. But yeah, he says that the total addressable market for psychedelics in 2027 is going to be north of $300 billion per year, which is absolutely like gangbusters, like out of this world. And if he's right about this, then us investors are going to be ecstatic pretty soon. And if we pick the right companies right now, 5, 6, 7 years in advance, then we're going to see like 20, 30, 40, 50, 100x returns. However, calming down, I will just briefly say that he is being extremely, and I would say overly optimistic, and I'm just going to explain how he came to this conclusion. So he's using the total market projections for the treatments of various diseases, and I'm actually just going to go ahead and throw this up on the screen. So for example, he says that the global market for depression and anxiety treatments is going to be $19 billion in 2027. For drug addiction treatments, it's going to be $31 billion. For traumatic brain injury treatments, it's going to be $156 billion. For neurodegenerative diseases, it's going to be $62 billion. For ADHD treatments, it's going to be $25 billion. Bipolar disorder treatments, $5 billion. And schizophrenia drugs, $8 billion. And he's just kind of adding these all up, which gets him to around the $300 billion mark. But the problem here is that he is assuming that psychedelics are going to 100% disrupt and take over each of these industries completely, leaving no room for any other sort of medication or any other sort of treatment. And while perhaps like maybe this is in the outer realms of possibility, it's not really realistic. And frankly, it's just not going to happen. So nevertheless, I'm bringing this to you guys because it gives us a good feeling of the total upper end of the addressable market. So if everything went extremely perfectly, there's a $300 billion addressable market here. Of course, that's not going to happen, but we kind of get the upper end of what is possible, so that's why I'm bringing it to you. And if he is anywhere close to being right, so let's say even like 30% right, and the total addressable market is $100 billion, then we're going to see something similar to what we're seeing now with the crypto millionaires. So everybody who invested in Bitcoin 10 years ago, they're all millionaires now. And if Siegel's prediction comes anywhere close to being right, in 2030, we're going to be seeing a wave of psychedelic millionaires. So that's very cool. Just thought I would share that with you guys all. So now we're going to move on to some company-specific news, but real quick before we get to that, I just want to say that all dollar figures that I give in this episode are going to be in American dollars. So if ever I say a number, just assume it's in American dollars, and whenever I use a ticker symbol, just assume I'm using the American ticker symbol. So to start off, we of course are going to do my favorite company in this field, which is Mydecine, MindMed. And MindMed is ticker symbol MMEDF on the American OTC market, MMED on the Canadian NEO market, and MMQ on the European Frankfurt Exchange. So as always, we're going to start by looking at the stock price and the stock movement for the week. So MindMed opened the week at $2.83, and it tumbled a little bit to close Friday at $2.49. And this fall wasn't based on any sort of bad news, and actually, as we'll see as we look at the other companies, literally every company we're looking at today fell a little bit over the course of the week. So we can see there's a wider industry trend and market trend in general happening here. But yeah, I just want to reiterate that none of the fall happened due to bad news. And in fact, the only news that we had this week for MindMed was relatively good news. MindMed announced they are being included in some FTSE Russell indexes, and they're being included in two specifically, which is the FTSE Global Microcap Index and the FTSE Total Cap Index. And speaking on this decision, the CEO of MindMed, J.R. Ron, has had this to say, and again, I'll go throw this up on the screen. So, being included in mature and credible indexes like the FTSE Total Cap and FTSE Global Microcap is a true honor. Did I say crap there? I totally think I said crap there. As we build MindMed into a pioneering company for the long term, our entire team looks forward to the potential positive change we can bring to treating mental health and addiction in the years ahead. So, what is important to understand here is that the FTSE Russell Indexes is a British group that creates benchmarks for investors to either invest in or compare against. And by being included in the microcap benchmark, what the FTSE is saying here is that MindMed is a microcap company, at least in their eyes, that meets certain standards like a minimum market cap. And the only reason that they are in the global total benchmark is because that fund, it tracks all the different funds they have, including the microcap fund, which MindMed is being added to. So, to be clear, what the FTSE is saying here is not that MindMed stock is a buy. They're not saying we like MindMed stock. All that they are saying is that MindMed is a microcap stock in their eyes, and therefore it's being included in this index that tracks the overall performance of microcap stocks. Damn it, microcap stocks. I'm just going to leave that in there. That's totally cool. So yeah, again, they're not saying MindMed's a buy, but despite this is definitely still good news. It's showing that MindMed is being added to prestigious indexes, and it's positive news, but it's not a big deal. So I actually did an entire episode on this week where we go really into depth about what all this means and some of the terminology. So if you want to see that, I'll put a link above for you guys, and it was actually our most liked episode and is really snowballing quickly and might one day be our most watched episode ever, so I think you guys will enjoy it, so go check it out. Moving on, our next story today comes from Compass Pathways, which is of course ticker symbol CMPS on the NASDAQ exchange. And like MindMed, their stock price tumbled a little bit this week. It opened Monday at $38.49 and it closed Friday at $34.75. And the big news that we have this week is that Compass has been granted 2 new patents. And I'm just going to go ahead and read a couple of the most important paragraphs from the press release where Compass talks about their patents. So, they say these patents cover oral formulations of Compass's synthetic psilocybin in the treatment of major depressive disorder, MDD, which includes treatment-resistant depression, TRD. U.S. patent number 10.954.259 was granted on 23 March 2021, with claims of Compass's high-purity crystalline psilocybin, including the form used in its synthetic formulation, COMP360, pharmaceutical formulations containing crystalline psilocybin and methods of treating MDD with the crystalline psilocybin. U.S. patent number 10.947.257 was granted on 16 March 2021, with claims to oral dosage forms of crystalline psilocybin and methods of treating MDD with the oral dosage firms. So, wow, so much terminology there and just like corporate jargon and blah, 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 blah. So I'm just going to try to break that down for you really quick and summarize what is happening here. So basically, there are 2 main takeaways that you guys should be aware of. First, Compass has now patented the specific delivery method for their COMP360 drug, and it's an oral delivery form. So beforehand, Compass Pathways had only really patented the drug that they were using, COMP360, and they explained that it would be taken orally, but now they've actually patented the oral delivery method which they're going to be using. So that's the first important thing that they've had. And then second, and this is the big thing, this is the most important thing, the exciting thing, is that they have now expanded their treatment options through the patent for COMP360 from just treatment-resistant depression to major depressive disorder. So treatment-resistant depression is, by its very definition, affecting a much more limited population. So basically all treatment-resistant depression is people that have regular depression, MDD, major depressive disorder, who have attempted at least 2 other forms of medication that have failed. So anybody that has MDD and they've tried to get treatment at least 2 other times and it didn't work has MDD. So before, Compass was only attempting to treat people with TRD, treatment-resistant depression, whereas now they'll be able to treat people with MDD, major depressive disorder, which is a much larger population of people. And so this is obviously a very good thing for Compass Pathways, it's a very good thing for its shareholders, and it's a very good thing for anybody who might want to get treatment for major depressive disorder in the future with COMP360. So when it comes to these two specific patents, lots of good news for Compass Pathways, and I know that there are many criticisms of Compass when it comes to their patent strategy, but at least when it comes to these current two approved patents, everything here seems to be legit. I don't really want to gloss over the fact that there are many valid criticisms of Compass when it comes to their patent behavior, but that really doesn't fit with the topic of this video, so that'll be another video that we do in the near future, maybe in the next couple weeks, so keep an eye out for that. Next up, we're going to be looking at one of my favorite smaller companies in the industry, which is, of course, Entheon Biomedical Corp, which is ticker symbol ENTBF on the OTC market and ENBI on the CSE market. And like all the other companies we covered today and will cover today, their stock fell a little bit this week. It opened Monday at 56 cents, and it closed Friday at 53 cents. So the news I want to bring you today, which is really cool, is that they have completed research and development of their psychedelic genetic test. And this isn't exactly new news. This came from a few weeks ago, but actually I missed it and I wasn't able to bring it to you guys. But now that I've read it, it seems really cool, and I think you guys will enjoy learning about this. So what is in this press release that was released a few weeks ago? Well, it says that earlier this year, Entheon acquired a company by the name of Halogen, which had as its mission to develop and commercialize, quote, a genetic test designed to identify specific DNA biomarkers in order to gauge the risk and potential of adverse reactions toward hallucinogenic drugs. And the news I'm sharing with you today is that Halogen's proprietary psychedelic genetic test kit and technology platform has completed research and development and is now nearing commercial production. And this is the industry's first comprehensive pre-screening genetic test for psychedelics. I'm going to go ahead and read a paragraph from this press release. It says that Halogen's technology platform also includes 5 pre-screening assessment surveys encompassing mental health, family history, and lifestyle risk factors. By combining both genetic biomarkers and personalized data points, Halogen's pre-screening platform can help individuals that are considering psychedelic-assisted psychotherapy to gain key insights into safer and personalized psychedelic therapies. So, basically what is happening here is that Entheon is looking at specific biomarkers within our genetics to see which people might be genetically predisposed to having bad trips. And this would allow companies that are using some form of psychedelic therapy to kind of screen out the people that really shouldn't be getting these psychedelics based on their negative genetic results. Or perhaps rather, screening out of psychedelics altogether, they could screen people into certain specifically made psychedelics that are made purposely for people who react badly to psychedelics. And honestly, guys, I absolutely love this, and I think it is a fantastically cool idea. I have literally never thought of before the idea that people who react badly to psychedelics might be reacting badly because they're genetically predisposed to do so. I've only ever considered, the general, like, having a good set, having a good setting, good set of mind, that type of thing, and if any of those are missing, you can have a bad trip. But when you really sit down and think about it, it makes a lot of sense that some people might be genetically predisposed to having bad experiences on psychedelics like LSD or psilocybin. So if this technology works, and Entheon has some technology that can accurately predict who should and should not take psychedelics, then Entheon might really have a big winner on their hands here with Halogen's technology. Not only would it be useful for their own purposes, doing their own tests, but it could also be sold to other companies that are doing psychedelic research or psychedelic therapy and provide an extra revenue stream for the company. And as a reminder, Entheon is a company that is working on treating addiction with DMT, which in itself is an extremely exciting project that I am really keeping a close eye on because I think it has great potential to transform the addiction market if it works. Anybody that's done any research into DMT knows how exciting of a compound it is. And I've actually already covered Entheon once before on this channel. We did a deep dive into the company, so I will go ahead and throw a link to that above. And please go check out their video. It is a great rundown. And again, I'll just mention that we are going to do an interview with the CEO of Entheon, Timothy Ko, sometime next week. So by the time you guys are seeing this video, about a week from then, the interview with Timothy Ko will be live, and I really hope that you guys enjoy it. Again, if you have any questions that you want me to ask Timothy Ko, please let me know down in the comments. So the next company we're going to cover today is Cybin, and Cybin is of course CLXPF on the American OTC market and CYBN on the Canadian NEO market. And like all the other companies, their stock tumbled a little bit this week, nothing to be worried about. It went from $1.20 on Monday to $1.10 at close on Friday. And the news that I want to share with you today is that Cybin has signed an agreement with a company called Catalent for its fast dissolve formulation for their drug CYB003. And I covered last week on This Week in Psychedelic Stocks how Cybin has now moved, or is in the process of moving, two of their proprietary drugs, CYB003, CYB004, towards clinical trials, and this is kind of an expansion upon that. So what's really significant here is the fact that they are partnering with Catalent, because they are a large, well-known company in the pharmaceuticals industry, rather. In fact, they've got an $18 billion market cap. These aren't just like some random players that they're signing up with. These are really big institutional players that Cybin has just formed an agreement with. So there is going to be lots of benefits of that for Cybin, rather. And I'm just going to go ahead and read you the most important part from this press release that they gave. So it says here that Cybin will be applying Catalent's proprietary Zydis orally disintegrating tablet, ODT, technology for the delivery of our novel deuterated tryptamine CYB003, a potential therapy for treatment-resistant psychiatric disorders. Zydis technology creates a freeze-dried tablet that disperses almost instantly in the mouth with water and is recognized as one of the world's best-performing ODTs. Delivering CYB003 in such a dose form could have significant benefits, as an ODT would allow pre-gastric delivery and prevent first-pass metabolism, potentially improving the pharmacokinetic profile of the drug. The project is due to commence in April of 2021 and will involve initial feasibility studies being conducted for the manufacturing and analytical testing of ODT doses containing varying quantities of CYB003. So, basically here, Catalent is going to be producing the delivery method for CYB003, and together the two companies are going to test this proprietary new drug that Cybin has created. And as mentioned last week, we don't know yet what CYB003 is going to be used to treat for just yet, but it will be a malady with a high unmet need that is treatment resistant so far. And the fact that we're seeing so much progress here is very encouraging. So I just want to zoom out for a second and talk about how over the last few weeks, we've been talking about how Cybin has been raising a huge amount of capital, lots of money to fund clinical trials. They've been moving some of their proprietary drugs towards clinical trials, and now they have partnerships with one of the bigger players in the pharmaceutical field. So it really looks like over the past month, Cybin has been making moves. Now, I'm not an investor in Cybin yet, but honestly, with the moves that they've been making a lot recently, it really looks like they're progressing quickly, and maybe sometime in the future I will invest in Cybin, because frankly, it looks like they're doing really good things this past couple months. And again, this is a long-term play. We're going to have to see how this plays out over the course of several years, but they seem to be doing really good things right now. Moving on, next up we have Mydecine, ticker symbol MYCOF on the OTC and MYCO on the NEO exchange in Canada. And their stock dropped a little bit this week from 37 cents on Monday to 31 cents today. And the only real piece of news that I really wanted to share with you today was that on the Canadian markets, they have now switched from the CSE market to the NEO market. So before, in Canada, if you wanted to buy Mydecine, you had to get MYCO on the CSE. Now you will have to get it at MYCO on the NEO. So everything else is the same. I don't really think this will have many implications for the company. I'm just letting you guys know in case any of you are in Canada and you're looking to buy Mydecine and you can't seem to find it on CSE. Well, that's because it's on the NEO exchange now. So just a couple closing thoughts. This was a slow week. There wasn't much news either on the industry-wide scale or the company-specific scale. But despite that, every single week we continue to see progress. And yes, it's slow, it's incremental. It doesn't seem much, or no one story seems like it's a lot when you just look at that story. But the fact that literally every week we're getting new clinical trials, new funding, new partnerships, we really seem to be moving forward full speed ahead. So it's really just kind of how to best phrase this. It's making me not necessarily more bullish because I was already bullish, but it's kind of validating in my eyes my bullish thesis, because every week we're getting more and more positive news. And again, we're going to have to wait several years, but as things are going right now, I am very happy. And just as a quick side note, I hope that the new light system gave nobody some strokes or seizures or anything. I hope you enjoy it. And that's all for today. I'm basically just rambling now. I don't really know what I'm saying. We're just going to keep it going, blah, 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 blah. But if you enjoyed the episode, please remember to like and subscribe. It will really help the channel out. I will really appreciate it. And please click on some videos you see now if you want to keep on learning more about this amazing opportunity. This is James from the Psychedelic Investor, signing out. I'll see you next time.